Welcome, guys. Welcome to Tennis Ace News. A huge show on hand today. We're going to go through the Australian Open preview, go through some predictions. But first, huge news overnight. Let's get right to it. So, for those of you that follow Andy Murray on Instagram, you might have seen his post. Basically, long story short, he is out. I repeat, he is out of the Australian Open 2018 due to a hip injury that he has been nursing since the US Open 2017. He's been going through rehab. Obviously, he was hoping that it would be good enough for him to play in the upcoming Australian Open. Unfortunately, he's come out and he's realized that he needs more time. Now, actually, this is a very serious issue and we wish him all the best. Basically, he has to either wait for the hip to get better, do some more rehab over the next couple of months, and hope that it can actually recover to a point where he's able to play tennis at the highest level. Otherwise, he will have to go through surgery. And now the issue with the surgery is, he mentioned that the odds of him actually making a full recovery from the surgery, the odds of the surgery being successful are not as high as he had hoped. So, if he does go through surgery, he'll be out for the rest of the year, and potentially it may be the end of his career. Let's hope not. I mean, look, he's a fantastic player, a 5-time finalist at Melbourne Park. Would have loved to see him in the tournament. I mean, he's always a chance at winning it, isn't he? So, and there's my cat. He's always a chance at winning it. So, I mean, look, we wish him all the best, and we'll keep a close eye on him and hope he makes a recovery. Other news, Nishikori also out of the Australian Open due to a wrist injury. This one seems okay. He reckons he'll be better in a few weeks. Looking over to the women's game now, we have a big one. Some of you may already know, Serena Williams out of the Australian Open. The good news is she's not injured, okay? She just feels that it's too soon since the birth of her child to be coming back. Her coach did tell her that she should only put herself in the tournament if she thinks that she can go all the way. And I think that's a very good attitude to have. And I mean, look, you should only, as a matter of respect for your opponents as well, you should only put yourself into the tournament if you're prepared to give it 100%. Kudos to Serena Williams, and we hope to see her at the next Grand Slam, which will be Roland Garros. Now, a couple of injury concerns, okay, not withdrawals, but injury concerns. Nadal, he's arrived in Melbourne. Obviously, he's got a knee issue, so the issue with him is that he's actually defending a lot of points as he was the finalist last year. So, I mean, again, he's played with the knee issues throughout his career. You might ask some people, they might tell you they think he can still go all the way. Me personally, I think it's very difficult to go all the way, especially in a Grand Slam with an injury. I mean, especially the way that Nadal plays his tennis. He relies so much on his physical movement, his strength, his being able to make it to every ball and just put 100% of his effort into every single shot that he plays. He basically plays very high energy, very, very high intensity tennis. And obviously with a knee injury like that, it's very difficult for him, I think, to play his best tennis. Unlike someone like a Federer, a while back he won the Australian Open with an ankle injury. Okay, he was wearing an ankle brace. That didn't seem to trouble him too much. Was the extent of the injury the same as Nadal's knee problem? Probably not. Also, the way that Federer plays his tennis, he does play quicker tennis. He's able to finish points in a faster manner. And you've got to remember also that back then he wasn't facing the same players like he's facing now, okay? He's not facing the same Nadals and Djokovic's and Murray's and all this, upcoming new generation of players. So I just feel that in this day and age, 2018, I don't see Nadal going all the way with a knee injury. Now, I'd love for him to prove me wrong, but in saying that, right now, I don't see him going all the way. And that's an issue because he is defending a lot of points, and he is the current world number one. So, should he not make it to the final, then he's going to drop some points. But then again, Federer is defending the most points, seeing as he is the champion. Okay? So, keep that one in mind, guys. Also, an injury concern, we have Djokovic. Okay? This is an elbow issue. The good news for him in a way, in terms of ranking, is that he's not actually defending any points Well, he's not defending that many points at all. He lost in the first round last year. So from his point of view, the Australian Open, I mean, he's got everything to win. Obviously, he'd love to go all the way. I don't think there's any player that enters the any tournament, or I mean, there are some players that tank, we know that. But, of these high caliber, top level players in the world, they enter Grand Slams to win. And so there's no doubt that Djokovic will be looking to win. But my question is over his mental ability to play with an injury. He's withdrawn before due to heat and things like that. Obviously, we know he had some breathing difficulties earlier on in his career. In saying that, I feel that playing with an elbow injury is going to be pretty tough. I mean, every shot you hit, that's going to be hurting you. You could hurt on your serve. Definitely going to be hurting a lot on the forehands. Okay, Djokovic relies a lot on his ground strokes, especially his forehands, to open up the court against opponents. So I think that's really going to hinder him. And I just think that even the mental side of the injury, he's going to be more affected mentally even than physically with that elbow injury. Therefore, I don't see him going all the way here, unfortunately. Although I am a big Djokovic fan, I like the way he plays. I think that he's at his best mentally. He's very strong when he's at his best mentally, but that's when, he's not nursing any niggling injuries or anything, and he's got full confidence in his game. We always talk about momentum and confidence. I mean, that is one of the biggest keys in tennis. When players are playing great tennis, they can beat anyone. But then suddenly, that if they play a bad, couple of matches, maybe lose to a couple of players that they shouldn't, suddenly that confidence drops, and then you just see them, not quite at their best. And then, little things like niggling injuries and things like that also play a big part on your confidence mentally. So, like I said, don't see Djokovic going all the way, but then again, he hasn't got much to lose because he's not defending so many points, having lost in the first round. Now, moving on, I want to move on to my picks. Okay, I'll start off with the women. I think that I'm going to throw a few players in the mix here, a few players to watch this Australian Open. Okay, ones that I think could go all the way. Obviously, the world number one currently, Simona Halep, the Romanian. I mean, look, there's no doubt that she would love to win an Australian Open or any Grand Slam for that matter. I think that, there's a certain air of illegitimacy when you're a world number one but haven't won any Grand Slams. We saw it a while ago with Caroline Wozniacki when she was the world number one and hadn't won any Grand Slams. I think, honestly, that did hinder her, and there was a while there where she dropped away because of it. Look, now she's back in contention, but I wouldn't put her in contention for the Australian Open. I think that Simona Halep is mentally a stronger player. Then again, it's another mental obstacle to be able to get over the line finally in a Grand Slam. And we saw Murray suffered a long time before he won his first Grand Slam. There's no doubt that there was, as much as he'd want to deny that there were any mental obstacles to get over, any mental hurdles that were holding him back from winning a Grand Slam, there's no denying it. There is always that question in your mind, especially in Simona Halep's case. She's the world number one, but hasn't won a Grand Slam. Just even in the locker rooms with your peers, other players on the circuit, they know that, okay? They know that, and you just don't quite feel legitimate till you've won a Grand Slam. So really hoping she can do it. I think if she does, that'll boost her confidence to a whole other level, and seeing as she's already the world number one, I think this could just set her on a very positive path in 2018. In saying that, I think that Muguruza, she's fantastic. Obviously, she had a few cramps just recently at the Brisbane International a couple of days ago. But then again, I wouldn't worry too much about it. It's actually not the first time that she's had cramps before the Australian Open. I'm sure she can get over it. The Australian summer, the Australian heat is unlike a lot of other tournament conditions out there, and players often take a little while to acclimatise, but I think that Muguruza is right in there in the mix for winning that women's title. I have to throw Sharapova in there as well, obviously coming back. She actually has been playing pretty good tennis in Shenzhen, so that's why I throw her back in the mix. During her time off, I think she's explored a few other ventures, done a lot of modelling, fashion stuff. That's just one of her hobbies. But I think at the end of the day, she really wants to win Grand Slams. And I mean, if she doesn't, then, she probably shouldn't be there. But she's putting herself in contention, so let's see how she goes. And one other one I really want to touch upon as well that I really think is a dark horse to win the tournament is Sloane Stephens. I think she's a fantastic player. People are not talking about her enough, I don't feel. People are not talking about her chances of winning the Australian Open enough right now. She won the US Open most recently, and I think that the fact that the Australian Open's on the same surface, she does great on it. I really think that she's a great chance at winning this Australian Open. So please, guys, keep an eye on her, because I don't think she'll disappoint us. Moving on to the men now. Now, this is an interesting one. It always is. Look, right now, it's very difficult to go past Federer, judging, based on the current circumstances of things. You've got Nadal with a niggling knee injury. You've got Djokovic with the elbow problem. You also have to remember that Djokovic will not be coming in with that good a draw as he used to have, because his rankings dropped a little. Murray's out. So basically, Federer's biggest concern would be Nadal, but this isn't a 100% fit Nadal. Now, in saying that, I have to throw in Wawrinka, because I think that Wawrinka is just such a solid player. He's won the Australian Open before, and by the looks of things, he's not coming in with any niggling injuries or anything like that. And it's always great to come in, start the season without any niggling injuries, because just mentally, it just gives you that much more confidence, rather than, being there and thinking, oh, geez, first tournament, first big Grand Slam of the year, I'm already nursing something. So I think Wawrinka definitely in hot contention for winning perhaps another Australian Open title. Again, now people have asked me a lot about the younger generations, Zverev, Thiem, Lucas Pouille, you throw him in there, and David Goffin as well, the Belgian. Look, these players I think are fantastic, but I just don't feel. Zverev would be the one that would be perhaps above the rest of that young generation, but I just don't quite feel like any of that younger generation actually really have the consistency at that really high level, and that ability to play the big points as well as the more experienced players. There's a whole different ballgame. Zverev played a pretty good match against Federer just overnight in the Hopman Cup final. Look, he played great for one set. He played one great set, showed he can mix it, got the first set actually, but then after that really fell away, and Federer just tore through him. And that is something that, you see Federer in a Hopman Cup, you come up against Federer in a Grand Slam, that's a whole different animal. This is a player that any of these more senior guys on the tour that have been up there for a long time, any of the big four, for example, they know how to play the big points, and that is a huge difference. So that new generation of players coming up, it's always exciting to watch, and I'd love to see how they go. Personally, I really like the way Zverev plays. I'd love to see how he goes this Australian Open. Big fan of Lucas Pouille as well. But in saying that, I'd give them maybe 1 or 2 seasons before they really start tearing the door down and really contending, for these Grand Slams, for these majors. Let me know who your picks are for the Australian Open. I've probably left some people out, some players out, from both the men's and the women's side. So please, guys, don't hesitate to let me know who you think can win the Australian Open, and we'll go through them again in the following episode. If any of you viewers have any tennis questions you'd like to ask me, any tips about your games, for example, or how to improve the mental side of the game, or even the physical side of the game, or just improving your technique, or just, wondering what shots you can improve, let me know. I'll be more than happy to give you my feedback, and I'll address that in the following episodes. Let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Cheers, guys.